I've been to Japan over a dozen times in my life, and I know I'm very blessed to be able to do that. I love going to Japan, but the main reason I've gone so many times is to visit family. My mom is Okinawan. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to travel with her and the rest of my family every few years to Japan to visit family. To put this in perspective, I've only got to hang out with the Japanese side of my family a handful of times in my life because traveling to Japan can be expensive, especially for a big family. Each time I get to go is very special to me, and the main reason I made so many videos about being in Japan and seeing Japan is because I want to lock away every memory and keep them forever. Now today we're in Okinawa, a part of Japan where my family lives. It's a tropical island similar in climate to Hawaii, and I wouldn't say the parallels stop there. To put it simply, Okinawa is just a more chill version of Japan. And while that's an oversimplification of the rich history of Okinawa, that's where we'll start. Today we're going to the Okinawa Zoo and Museum. Now I'm not usually just hanging out at zoos on my own. I'm actually here with my kid and my brother and his family. Funny enough, this is actually a carp food vending machine. And right next to that vending machine is actually another vending machine which has just drinks in it. I'm gonna get one of these W vitamins, mainly because I'm thirsty, and I think, you know what, I could use some more vitamins in my life. And anyways, the geese ended up eating most of that carp food, so yeah. Now, I don't know how to exactly quantify going to a lot of zoos, but I've probably been to 10 zoos in my life. And I've got to say, this zoo stood out to me. I mean, one, check this out. Banana tree, just chilling at the zoo. Which gets me to my first point. Purely from a climate standpoint, I'm guessing most of these animals are pretty happy because it's pretty warm and chill here. I also really like giraffes. Look at this guy, he's just having a great day. Also, I'm just throwing this out there, I think for my entire family to get into this zoo, it was only like $10. And that's just something I've kind of noticed in general. In Japan, family activities usually end up being a lot cheaper. Hey, check out these chimps. They're chilling like a family too. My kid and nieces were like super excited to see these, chimpanzees because they were super happy to see us. I mean, they were just like running around having a good time. And that's my second point. This zoo, everything just seemed super duper close. I mean, look how close this guy is to me. And then he noticed I was looking at him, so he thought I'd put on kind of a show. And then he did this whole running around thing, and then boom, rushed the camera. But he was fine, I think. Also, check it out, a capybara. Capybara, 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 capybara. I just think these guys are so cute. Zoos are just a really good family activity. Speaking of animals being super duper close, these hippos were like a little too close, you know? I mean, hippos are kind of a little bit more dangerous than people realize, and I just kind of feel like if these hippos wanted to get out of this like really tiny enclosure, they easily could have. They would have had no problem getting out of there. I mean, Sumi and Momo looked pretty docile, but at the exact same time, I don't think I ever would have gotten this close to any hippopotamuses, or any animals for that matter, in any US zoo. Low-key, this was just giving me Tiger King vibes. They were just so close. But they seemed safe? I don't know. To be completely honest, I kept going back and forth on this. Like, yes, it was really cool I could get this close to the animals, but then I just wondered, how safe is this? But then at the exact same time, I kept thinking, well, maybe this is safe. Maybe it's just too safe in the other zoos I've been to. I also never know how I actually feel about zoos. I mean, they're definitely animals in captivity, not in the wild, but at the same time, sometimes having the animals in captivity allow for researchers to do research to help save the animals that aren't in captivity. And there's always the argument that like seeing the animals in person, like kind of make it more personal, so you care more about the lifespan and the saving of an animal species, and you care that they don't go out of extinction because you kind of know one. I guess like a very extreme version of this would be like the crocodile hunter. That guy spent a whole bunch of time just going out and literally fighting crocodiles. But I think at the exact same time, most people will agree that the Irwins do so much for animal preservation and animal awareness and like caring about, wildlife. All I know for sure is that my kid liked animals before, but then when he was this close to a jaguar, he definitely talked about jaguars for a lot more after this. I also really wanted to pet this turtle, but I didn't because I didn't think you were allowed to. But like, look how close he was. I definitely could have pet this turtle. And, to be completely honest, this isn't really the type of thing that most people want to do on their Japanese vacation, but when people say, hey, what'd you do in Japan? I get to say, hey, yeah, I saw an elephant. It was cute. It was hard to film because there was this netting, but it was a adorable elephant. Well, it's hot outside, so I thought, hey, what will quench my thirst more than a sugary soda? And so I got this, cola. This is an Okinawan specific drink, Cola Hard Spark. It was good, just tasted like cola. We went pretty early in the morning. We basically went as soon as this place opened. But another thing I noticed is basically it seemed like every single animal was out. I feel like half the time when I go to the zoo, I only see like 3 animals because they're all hibernating or tired or whatever, which is good. You know, like animals get stressed out when they're around people too often, but all these animals seem pretty chill and they're just like playing around. And I don't think I can mention this enough. We got so close to these animals. I mean, we were like petting zoo length from most of these animals. There were also a whole bunch of little learning stations. This thing was kind of neat. It was little stations set up to clean your phone and then use recycled water to wash your hands. I don't think it was recycled water in the sense that it was dirty, but it's probably like recycled water more so in the sense that you shouldn't drink it. So like non-potable water. I also thought it'd be interesting to film like the phone going into the machine. It wasn't nearly as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Anyways, clean phone, clean phone. If you're into zoos and you're in Okinawa, you should definitely go to the Okinawa Zoo. It's a lot of fun. After that, we celebrated my brother's birthday. I drank this Dr. Pepper, and I noticed the only difference was that this has 20 fruit flavors, but I don't think that makes sense. My cousins gave these little candies to my kid and made them into this cute little necklace thing, and then he ate a bunch of them. They're just little like sugar pellets. They're kind of like sweet tarts. If you've been a sneakerhead for a very long time, then you might know that these are Olympic Jordan 7s. These were actually my cousin's when he was a kid in middle school. His basketball team was super good at basketball, and these were like super cherished items for him. And you know what, to be completely honest, these are super cool to me. There's Akira right there in the middle, chilling with his team. Akira is super good at sports. Okinawa is a island country, so the next day we hopped in the car and drove to the beach. Let's talk about some fun facts about driving in Japan. As you can tell right there, my windshield wipers are going off because everything's flipped. 1, I'm on the right side of the car, and 2, the windshield wiper and the signaling buttons are flipped on the car steering wheel. As you can tell, we're also flipped when it comes to what side of the road we're driving on. We're on the left side. In America, you're usually on the right. Fact number 2, if you have an American driver's license, you can actually drive in Japan as long as you have an international driving permit. They're only like $20 from a AAA, so that's what I did. Last fun fact, you actually drive pretty slow in Japan. The fastest you'll drive on the highway is about 85 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 55 miles per hour in the US. When I was a little kid and we'd visit Japan, this is a beach I'd go to a lot. One of the reasons I went here is because it was kind of windy and it was like the perfect beach to fly a kite. I'm super glad that I get to take my son here for a number of reasons. It might seem insane to take a kid on like a 20-hour plane ride, but for me it was very important because he gets to meet his family and he gets to understand where he comes from. And for me as the adult taking my kid to Japan, it makes me super grateful for all the opportunities that my parents gave me to go to Japan and get to know where I'm from. And last but not least, I'm just super grateful that I have a partner that's willing to go on these adventures with me and not just do it reluctantly, but to do this enthusiastically. I'm also really glad that I got to show my kid all this cool stuff. Fun fact, this little jacket that he's wearing is a jacket that my parents got me when I was a kid in Japan. It's just really cool to see him wearing it in the place that I got it. By the way, it was really cool. He got to get into the Pacific Ocean for the first time, which was a neat sight to be seen. He was a little nervous at first, but after a little positive encouragement, he was thrilled to get in the water and pick out a seashell. Now you might be asking yourself, Paul, why did you go to McDonald's to eat lunch? Well, let me explain. I have a kid. He's a little picky, but he did a good job today going into the ocean, so we're getting McDonald's. Shot for shot, the scene is fairly familiar, except there's exclusive items and everything's much, much cheaper. Also, not gonna lie, their toys are just much better than ours. They're just like real toys. This is also a large, like an extra large. And they don't have Diet Coke, they only have Coke Zero. Everything here is made to order, and I got a cheeseburger with an egg in it. The egg doesn't add like that much to the flavor profile, but I wish I could get an egg on American sandwiches. Speaking of America, we decided to go to the American Village next. You know how basically every major city in America has a Chinatown? Well, this is like the equivalent to that. This is an America Town. It's kind of interesting because a lot of people in Asia vacation to Okinawa, and it's a very tropical, vacation-y place. So there is a market for this. It's just very interesting to me what has been picked and chosen as a representation of America. I also love seeing shirts that have English on it that doesn't quite make sense. Y'all remember the famous line from Back to the Future, "What time is it now?" or mild punishment time from Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. There's actually something slightly poetic about weirdly translated English. Let's meet again in our dreams. As a kid, I used to buy these types of shirts all the time for friends. I just found them so funny, and so I'd pick up a whole bunch of them for like $2 or $3 and then just give them to all of my friends when I got back to school from Japan. This is a very unique store in Okinawa, Japan. It's called Christmas Land, and it's right in the middle of this American village. It is just Christmas here year-round. Ever since I started traveling with my wife, the two things that we always collect whenever we go anywhere is 1, a Christmas ornament if they're available, and 2, a magnet. I'm just really glad these were around so that I could pick them up. What does the United States military have to do with this Okinawan ice cream? Let's get into it. Okinawa makes up less than 1% of all of Japan, but it contains 75% of all US military presence. Because there's such a large American military presence in Okinawa, there was a lot of cravings for things from America, like ice cream. This chain was started by the US military, but as the popularity for it grew, it eventually changed hands from the US military to Okinawan locals. I actually got like a crepe ice cream. It's pretty good. This is another shop owned by the people that make Blue Seal called 3DO. Anyways, they make like ice cream sandwiches here, and you can get local flavors. I got a purple sweet potato cookie with a snickerdoodle cookie, vanilla and blue ice cream, and sprinkles. It was good. We also wanted to get some art while we were there, and we passed this shop that had some stuff for like relatively cheap. Each of these prints were about $20, and they came with the frame. And we got a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, I'm super happy to hang this all up. I realized the other day I just don't have enough art in my life, so I'm getting more stuff like prints and stuff. All the artists were local, so that's an added bonus. It's time to drink a drink. This is called Byerly's, and it's actually very interesting. It started in California, came to Japan, and now is only sold in Japan. Our condo was like 5 minutes away from this mall, so we decided, hey, let's go to this gigantic Aeon mall. First things first, this mall had a giant aquarium in it. Look at all these fish. Hey there, fish. How y'all doing? I also went to the Pokemon Center while I was here, but I went into much greater detail in a completely different video about Pokemon Centers. Then we picked up some shoes for my kid. He seems to like them. Let's go to a Daiso. It's basically like a dollar store, but a million times better. If you're looking to pick up a bunch of souvenirs for people and you aren't sure what to get them, a Daiso isn't a bad place to start. You can get a bunch of weird Japanesey things, all for under like $3. I like shisha. I'm gonna get this bag. Candy is always a safe choice for coworkers. We're picking up a quick dinner while we're here, and we still haven't eaten taco rice, so we're gonna get taco rice here. What is taco rice? Well, the description's in the name. It's basically a rice base and then taco stuff on top. I ended up getting my taco rice with bacon on top. It was delicious, but it's very simple. This is a Run Oki water. It's just a water branded with like a Run DNC type logo. If you're looking to do another family thing while you're in Okinawa, I suggest going to the TeamLab Future Park in Okinawa. My brother actually was the one that suggested we do this, and I'm really glad he did. TeamLab is a brand that does interactive art exhibits. They also have a big one in Tokyo, but this one is way more focused on kids. This one had a whole bunch of projectors. You walked around in a dark room, and you walked around without your shoes. You just walked around in your socks. It really wasn't that weird, but it was pretty fun. This was really a space made for kids to just run around and have a bunch of fun. But yeah, like you can see, there's a whole bunch of things like big giant interactive whales, and it had just this general nature sea theme. There are a bunch of places where you could just draw whatever you want with some pastels, and then you give it to a person and they scan it in, and then your art's just like on the wall. There were a bunch of rooms that were just made for photography, it seemed. Like this one was just filled with balls that you just kick around and play with while it was all playing ambient music. I had a lot of fun here, and I also think this would be a really great place for like a first date or something like that. There was also this jumpy thing where you had to like run across this lily pad type thing and interact with all these little shapes that you ran on. A lot of fun. This room was 1 part lemmings, 1 part Pikmin. Basically, it had a whole bunch of these little blocks that had magnets on them, and whenever you put them on the wall could sense that they were there, and then it would create new things. This room had a bunch of hieroglyphs that were falling from the ceiling, and when you slapped them, a huge, colorful animal scene would play out. It was really neat. They had another one of those rooms where you could draw stuff and then your stuff would end up on the wall, and I ended up drawing this fish, and yeah, there's my dude. And my brother drew a Ninja Turtle. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really good idea. This is awesome. You can also kind of sense where you put faces, so like, if you look closely, the mouth is opening and closing. 10 out of 10, would go again. I think other interactive spaces should take note. Speaking of arcades, we ended up going to this one. This game, you press a button and you try to get this ball into this hole here. On closer inspection, my kid basically nailed this, but I think the ball was actually too big to fall into that hole. The next game we're going to play is this Hook the Chocolate Koala game. Let's see if we can do it. I've never played it, but let's see if we can be a winner. Coming close. Not even close enough. All right. I'm not gonna lie, I look like a total idiot on this next story, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyways so that you don't look this way. So this game here, it looks like, hey, let's give it a try, let's play it. I just thought the crane game didn't work because I pressed the button here at the top. But what that actually signifies is that you can play the crane game that's on a upper level. I didn't realize that, so I just kept looking at this bottom level and lost. Nothing is more humbling than when a bunch of Japanese middle school girls make fun of you, but tell you how to play the game. Which was very helpful, and that's why we won this, baby. Yeah, that's right. I played a lot of crane games while I was here in Japan, and I'm just glad I could go away with just one prize for my kid. I got cocky. I thought, hey, I could win this twice in a row. Did not work. Inside the box was a chocolate egg. Inside the chocolate egg was this plastic thing. Inside of this was a little Pokemon toy. This next game I gave a try because I just recently started One Piece, and let's see what we do here. I think I needed to have grabbed that box further up or further back, but I did not win. You know what? Second time might be the charm. Let's give it another try. This is somehow worse than the first time. Maybe Yugimoto, the king of games, can help me out. I don't know why I got distracted here, but I also lost. To celebrate all that perseverance, I'm going to pick up a Coke Zero. Unfortunately, they don't have Diet Coke here. They just have Coke Zero. This entire trip was magical to me, but it might have been these more quiet moments of going to places in Okinawa that I loved the most. I had a great time with my kid, I had a great time with my brother's kids, and you know what? It was a real 10 out of 10 experience. Would suggest doing it if you're ever out there in Okinawa.